I can't record myself uh, using Camtasia. I have to use something else to record myself using Camtasia. So if I'm ready to use Camtasia to narrate myself writing on some worksheet or some set of notes, the first thing I do is open the file in PDF Annotator that I'm going to be annotating. So I'm opening one from the other day in my college prep math class where we were just doing a review of inequalities for the AccuPlacer. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and open the recorder for Camtasia. So I need to go to the Start menu, and then I need to go to All Programs, and it will be under TechSmith. And I open Camtasia Recorder. So it'll take it a second for that to come up. And when it does, a portion of your screen will probably go gray on the outside edges, and you'll get this green dotted rectangle with some white boxes that you can drag to resize. That basically shows you the portion of the screen that you'll be recording. So in general, it's a good idea not to record any more than you need to. It'll keep your video size smaller. So typically what I will do is make the recording the exact size of the portion of PDF Annotator that for the document itself. So I don't even record the toolbar. I just record the document itself, just like that. And that's going to be under custom. If full screen comes up by default, you should go back to the custom choice, because otherwise you will get the full screen. So the next thing I want to do is make sure the webcam is off, and I need to go to the sound, and I need to make sure that it records the microphone that I want to be using. Now, if you are using the Logitech microphone that I've lent people, you want to look for the option that says Logitech. Now, I'm using a different Logitech headset. However, if you're using that microphone, that freestanding microphone that I've had you use before, or had several of you use before, you want to make sure that microphone, the item with US or Logitech, is checked. And then, just to check yourself, start talking, and you should see in this little area, you should see the bar going, the colors going back and forth. Usually that's a good sign that you have chosen the right audio option. So now I usually do a test just to make sure that I really am recording my voice, because there's nothing worse than making a 15-minute screencast and finding out something went wrong with the audio and then having to do it again. So what I do is I click the record button, then I start recording, okay, and then I do stop. Okay, and then I do, okay, so then I listen to it. So if you hear your audio playing back on your computer, and make sure that your volume, of course, in the taskbar is turned up, then you're set. So since that was just a test video, I choose delete. You go to delete that recording, and now you're ready to go. So you're going to start and hit the record button, and now you're going to go back into PDF Annotator, narrate yourself using the pen, etc., etc., and you can click pause at any time. So if you need to pause for any reason, if you're unsure about your notes, or for whatever reason, if you click pause, you can then click resume, and the recording will continue. So once you're finished recording, of course you do stop. Now you're going to go back into PDF Annotator, narrate yourself using the pen, etc., etc., and you can click pause at any time. So if you need to,
Okay,
now you're going to go
then you
back
want to
into
go
arrange.
to Save As. So go to Save As, um, pick a spot where you'll be able to find your file. Now this that you're saving is only Camtasia video. It's not actually something the students could see or you could use for your students. So you want to keep that in mind. So once you do Save As, and you pick a file or location for it, if it doesn't come up, and I'm kind of surprised it didn't here, go back to the Start menu, and this time go to All Programs, TechSmith, and go to Camtasia Studio. Now this may happen automatically, I think because I didn't let it play. It didn't come up, at least I'm hoping. So you can close the recorder at this point, and I'm going to close the little startup window, and I'm going to go to Import Media. All right, so I'm going to go and I'm going to find that file. Here it is, capture1.trec. All right, it's going to show up in the clip bin. Okay, so when you import it, automatically this clip bin tab should show. And then all I need to do is right click on it and add to the timeline. All right, and now you can see it, and at any given time you should be able to review it. Now mine, I'm not doing anything, so you can't really see it. And you can drag through it down here, or you can drag up here in this little preview window. All right, so there are a bunch of fancy things for you to do. In this screencast, I'm just going to show you the basics. So let's say that there's a portion of your screencast that you don't like and you want to cut. Well, what you do is you kind of hit that button so that it expands. You kind of find the spot
PDF
in it.
annotator, narrate your.
All right, and then you drag this little red button, and you right click, and you do delete, or you can hit the delete key, and that portion should be gone. And let's see, and it is. And then I'm going to drag the other portion over. Now depending, I think if you do right click and do cut, what remains may automatically be dragged over for you. And then of course you want to check to see, double check your work. I believe you can do edit undo, which is Control Z, so it's just like any other app. And now that portion of your screencast is going to be missing. Now, if you want to record something else and tack it on to the end, I'm going to show you how to do that. So you would go through the same process of recording your screencast. Then you would go into Camtasia Studio, open that project. Okay, oh yes. So now what you should really do is save your project as soon as you have everything the way you want it. So I'm going to do File, Save, Project As, and I'm going to go back to my desktop and save it as, something. All right, so now let's say there's other Camtasia recordings you want to add. So you would go through the same process as importing the media. You would find that file. So I'm just going to re-import the same thing. It's not going to show up as anything different, but you would see a second icon up here. And then I'm going to go right click and I'm going to go add to timeline. And when I do that, I want to make sure that I have the mouse positioned, or this positioned at the very end of the first recording. All right, I'm going to have to take a pause right now because Screencastify is coming to the end of its limit. I will pick up in just a second.
All right, so let me get back to where I was, and I'm actually going to use Screencastify or Camtasia Recorder to join these recordings together that I'm making because they're going to be separate MP4 files. And that brings up another point. You can also import other formats other than just Camtasia recording software. So if you have other video, you can also import it as well and add it to your timeline just as you would Camtasia recordings. Okay, so now the last step is to make a MP4 file out of your project so that, and that's the video file that your students will be able to see. So you can either just create the file and save it to your desktop or some folder, or I think you can go right to share to Google Drive and create the file and share it to Google Drive. But I'm just going to do the old-fashioned way. I'm going to save it to my desktop. So I'm going to go to File, Produce, and Share. So File, Produce, and Share. So I go to Produce and Share, and I go to choose, no, not File, just Produce and Share. And now I want to make it as good a resolution as possible. So I'm going to choose the MP4 with Smart Player. You can also do MP4 only, but you want to make sure that you do the 1080p option. To be honest with you, I'm not completely sure what the difference is. I know both of them work, so I just do the with Smart Player. And then once I have that selected, I do Next. Okay, now I browse to find a location for the file that I want, or the file that I'm making, and I do, so I'm just going to choose, I'm going to make a new folder here on my desktop. I'm going to choose that, and then I give it a name. So I'm going to call it Sample Screencast, and then I'm going to hit the Save button. And then if you have organized produced files into subfolders, then you'll get a subfolder in the folder that you've chosen. Usually I do. When you're done, you click Finish, and then you wait for your video to be compiled. Now, it may take up to 5 minutes depending on how long your video is and how fast your computer is. If you're using a really slow computer, it may take a very long time. If you're using the Microsoft Surface, I would think it may take like 5 minutes if you're making a 15-minute video. If you're making just a 10-minute one, it may be less, but it shows you the bar, the progress bar, as you're going along. And as soon as it's finished, it's going to launch the video is going to launch in your web browser, and you can look at it. And then the final step is to find the file and actually put it out there and share it on Google Drive. So you're going to update, you're going to go to Google Drive, and you're going to upload the file just like you would any other file, or in Google Classroom, and upload the file and do share. All right, that's it. I hope that was helpful, and if you have any questions, please come and see me.